There's a product sitting in the cleaning aisle of your hardware store right now called DampRid. You have probably seen it. White crystals in a plastic tub with a collection reservoir underneath. It pulls moisture out of the air in basements, closets, bathrooms, boats, storage units, anywhere humidity causes mold, mildew, rust, and that particular damp smell that tells you something is quietly being destroyed. It costs between $12 and $18 per tub. When the crystals dissolve into liquid and the tub fills up, you throw it away and buy another one. The crystals inside that tub are calcium chloride, an inorganic salt that costs about $4 a bag at any pool supply store, hardware store, or farm supply. The same compound used to de-ice roads, preserve food, and condition soil. DampRid's entire business model is buying it in bulk, repackaging it into a branded tub with a collection reservoir, and selling it to you for 3 to 4 times the cost of the raw material. As a product, you throw away and replace. And nobody mentions the part that changes the entire equation. The part that makes this a one-time purchase instead of a recurring one. The part that the disposable dehumidifier industry cannot afford to put on the label. Stick around, because I'm going to show you exactly what calcium chloride does to moisture in the air, why it works better than silica gel in high humidity environments, how to build a passive dehumidifier at home for $4 that covers a room without electricity, and, most importantly, how to regenerate it in your kitchen oven when it is saturated so it works like new again, indefinitely. But first, think about what humidity is actually doing to the spaces in your home. The basement that always smells faintly of earth no matter how many candles you burn. The closet where your leather things keep developing mold along the seam. The storage unit where cardboard boxes come out soft. The attic that bakes in summer and sweats in winter. The boat, the RV, the vacation cabin you close up for months and open to find everything inside smelling like the inside of an old tent. That is not a cleaning problem. That is a chemistry problem. Excess moisture and enclosed air condenses on cooler surfaces, feeds mold spores that are always present and always waiting, penetrates wood fibers, oxidizes metal, and degrades leather, fabric, paper, and electronic components over time. The EPA recommends keeping indoor relative humidity between 30 and 50%. Above 60%, mold begins to colonize surfaces within 24 to 48 hours. You cannot clean your way out of that. You have to remove the moisture from the air. The question is how, and whether it requires electricity, a compressor, a filter, a condensate drain, and a $200 machine, or whether it requires a bag of salt in a container you already own. Here's what calcium chloride actually does, and why the chemistry is so effective it surprises people the first time they see it work. Calcium chloride is what chemists call a hygroscopic salt, a compound with an extremely strong chemical affinity for water molecules. When calcium chloride crystals are exposed to humid air, the calcium and chloride ions on the crystal surface attract water vapor molecules out of the surrounding air and bind them. This process continues until the partial pressure of water in the solution equals the partial pressure in the surrounding atmosphere, meaning the crystals keep pulling moisture until they reach equilibrium with the room. At high humidity levels, the crystals absorb so much water that they dissolve into it, a process called deliquescence, forming a brine solution that drips into whatever collection container you have beneath them. Calcium chloride can absorb moisture up to 6 times its own weight. That is not a marketing number. That is documented chemistry. Silica gel, the little packets you find in shoeboxes and beef jerky, typically absorbs 10 to 30% of its own weight under similar conditions. Calcium chloride is in a different category entirely, especially in high humidity environments where it dramatically outperforms. Unlike mechanical dehumidifiers, calcium chloride requires no energy input whatsoever to absorb moisture. No compressor, no fan, no power outlet within reach, no noise. You put it in a space and it works silently, continuously, for as long as there is moisture in the air for it to attract. Here is how to build the setup. You need a bag of calcium chloride, the pellet or flake form, not powder, sold at pool supply stores, hardware stores, and farm supply outlets for around $4, and a container with a way to separate the crystals from the liquid they collect. The simplest version, a clean plastic colander set inside a bowl of the same approximate diameter. Fill the colander with calcium chloride crystals 2 to 3 inches deep. As the crystals absorb moisture from the air and eventually begin to dissolve, the brine drips through the colander into the bowl below. The crystals on top keep working until they are dissolved. The bowl collects the liquid. Empty the bowl when it fills. That is the entire setup. For a closet or small room, one filled colander handles the job. For a basement or larger enclosed space, multiple units positioned around the perimeter are more effective because calcium chloride works on the air immediately surrounding it. It does not draw air from across a large room the way a powered unit with a fan does. Think of each unit as serving a radius of roughly 3 to 5 feet effectively, with diminishing effect further out. For serious whole basement humidity control in a very humid climate, calcium chloride passive dehumidifiers work best as a supplement to a powered unit, not a full replacement. For closed spaces, closets, storage units, boats, RVs, vacation properties, seasonal storage, they are a complete and fully effective solution on their own. Now, here's the part that nobody who sells disposable moisture absorbers will ever put on the packaging. When your calcium chloride crystals have fully dissolved into brine and there is nothing left in the colander but liquid, the job is not finished. The calcium chloride is still there. It is dissolved in the water it collected, but chemically it is completely intact and fully functional. It has not been used up. It is not degraded. It has simply absorbed as much water as it can hold at room temperature. Heating calcium chloride that has been saturated with moisture drives the absorbed water back out of the crystals and restores the compound to its original dry, active state. Here's how to do it. Pour the liquid brine from your collection bowl into a shallow oven-safe dish. A glass baking dish or a metal tray works perfectly. Set your oven to between 300 and 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 150 to 200 degrees Celsius, and place the dish inside. Leave it for 1 to 3 hours. As the oven heats the brine, the water evaporates and exits through the oven vent. What remains in the dish when the water is gone is dry calcium chloride. Reconstituted and ready to use again, let it cool completely, store it in a sealed airtight container until your next use, and then refill your colander. The same $4 of raw material working again. This regeneration process fully restores the moisture-absorbing capacity of the calcium chloride for reuse. You are not degrading the compound by cycling it through absorption and regeneration. You are simply removing the water it collected. Done correctly, the same batch of calcium chloride can be regenerated and reused many, many times. 3 things to know before you do it. First, ventilation. As the water evaporates from the brine in your oven, the air in your kitchen will carry that moisture out. Open a window or run your range hood. During the regeneration, this is not dangerous. You are evaporating salt water, not producing fumes. But a kitchen that is absorbing the moisture you're trying to drive out of your basement is working against itself. Second, use an oven-safe container and nothing metal that might react with brine over repeated heating cycles. Glass is ideal. Third, do not try to rush the process at higher temperatures. Higher than 400 Fahrenheit risks beginning to melt or otherwise alter the calcium chloride. Stay in the 300 to 400 range for clean, complete regeneration. 2 honest limits before you go, because this channel always gives you the full picture. Calcium chloride is an excellent passive dehumidifier for enclosed or semi-enclosed spaces and for moderate to high humidity environments. It is not a substitute for a powered dehumidifier in a severely water-damaged basement or a space with active water intrusion. If your basement walls are wet, if water is entering through the foundation, if you're dealing with a flooding aftermath that requires a machine with a pump and significant capacity, and calcium chloride is not the right tool for that job, it is the right tool for preventing the conditions that lead to those problems, not remedying them after they have occurred. And handle it with basic care. Calcium chloride causes eye irritation on direct contact and can irritate skin with prolonged exposure. Keep it away from children and pets. Do not apply it directly to metal or leather surfaces. The brine it produces is corrosive. Dispose of saturated brine down a drain with plenty of water, which dilutes it safely. These precautions are straightforward, and they are the same precautions that apply to any salt used in concentration. The global dehumidifier market was valued at $4 billion in 2023 and is growing steadily. DampRid alone, one brand, one product, generates tens of millions of dollars in annual retail sales from a raw material that has been in hardware stores for decades at a fraction of the price. The disposable format is the business model. The tub, the branding, the collection reservoir built in, all of it exists to make you throw away something that was always capable of being regenerated and reused. The chemistry did not change. The compound did not change. The only thing that changed is whether you know you can put it in the oven. Now you know, and you won't forget it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.